done 8,000 Ks since changing the cam chain and the little oil cog and a few other bits and pieces in the engine, and it's due for a service, so I'm going to open up the side of the engine and have a look and see how that cam chain's going, and also clean the centrifugal filter and the filter screen. So I'll show you how I do it. So it still sounds nice and quiet while it's idling, which is a good sign. When the cam chain is wearing out and the cam chain adjuster is not right, it's really rattly when it's cold. So it's good that it's nice and quiet at the moment. So I've laid the bike over on its side just to make it easier for working on this side. Yeah, it's a lot easier to work on it when you've got to put the clutch lifter plate back in, otherwise it'll fall out all the time. So next step, I just got to remove all these bolts that are around the edge of the cover, and it just cleared the exhaust pipe last time, so I didn't have to take the exhaust off to do this. Yeah, so these are 8mm. So that's your clutch adjuster. It just sits in there, so that's a little awkward when you've got to put it back. So the oil screen just sits in here. I'll get it out and have a look. So you can see there's a few little bits and pieces in there left over from, I reckon, when I replaced the cam chain. You could see when I do the other side, you'll be able to see where it was chewing out part of the case. But when I first got this bike and pulled it apart, that screen was virtually completely blocked with stuff, so pretty good now. I'll give that a bit of a clean and then put it back in. So next step is to undo these 3 screws here to get to the centrifugal filter. Give that a clean. So 8,000 Ks ago, when I took this apart after first getting it from the auctions, this was completely full. This whole area in here was completely full of gunk, and now you can see there's like a bit of a pasty bit there. That's like a grinding paste, bits of metal or whatever have you, that's still left, was left in the engine after I got it. So the filter's doing its job. It's collecting that. So it's worthwhile cleaning this. Just a shame that this is meant to be done every 16,000 kilometres, and I got it with 36,000 Ks on the clock, and I doubt that it was ever done previously at all. So I'll give that a good clean, and I can put it back together again. Yeah, definitely worth cleaning. Now, last time I was putting this back together again, this was very awkward to put back in place, but I'll show you how I do it. Down there just now. Yeah, so I got this gasket kit from Lambda. So they supplied all the different gaskets I need, so I'll need that gasket for the centrifugal filter. And you've got the side cover gaskets as well there. So okay, so I've given that a bit of a clean. Time to put it back together. So I've got put a little bit of Loctite on these screws, and it's supposed to be torqued up to 5 Newton meters. My torque wrench won't go down that far, so I just do what I reckon. So I'm just going to blow a bit of compressed air through the oil passage here, and should come out here. It's all good. So the clutch lever and cam plate have to sit like this. You can see there's a little punch mark on the lever up here, and there's a little line on the shaft. The two have to line up together, and you'll see that on this there's a cross stamped here that lines up with this lever. I'm just going to smear a little bit of grease around the kickstart shaft. Just helps the seal work properly. So I'll put a new gasket on this and put this cover back on. You just got to tighten these screws up in a crisscross sort of fashion, a little bit at a time. It doesn't actually give you a torque setting in the book, but it wouldn't be very tight. It's just with this little tool, just so it feels a little, you know, it's firm. Just work my way around and then do it again. There's a couple at the bottom, got to do with a ring spanner. Socket won't get in there. So I've done my valve clearance. I'm not going to show that again on this video. I've covered that on another video. So now I'm going to take the cover off here, the gear shifter, and take this cover off to have a look at the how the cam chain and the lifter and everything is all going after 8,000 Ks. Now for removing the flywheel, there is a special tool you can get to hold the flywheel. I just make do. So just a strap around there tight, and the vice grips just bring it down a bit tighter. Worked last time, I'll see how it goes this time. Yeah, when I bought the cam chain and all the bits and pieces that I was going to change over, I also bought a flywheel puller. So that there's the flywheel off. So let's have a look and see what it's like in here. So apart from changing the cam chain last time, This is your driving cog for your oil pump, and that was in good nick, so I didn't have to do anything with that. I changed this little tensioner wheel here. I actually changed this whole arm here. The end was worn. You've got a little rubber cap that sits on here. That was completely gone last time, so I put a new rubber cap on. So this is the actual tensioner that the oil pressure pushes that up against that shaft and down on this tensioner wheel here. To change the cam chain, you've just got to have it in the timing marks set up, the same as for a valve clearance check. So it's moved a little bit when I was undoing the flywheel, but these lines have to line up basically straight up and down like this, with that part out. So you make sure when you're taking it, because you have to take that off, there's a little wheel inside here, you've got to take off and then put back on. You can get in there to put it all back together again. It's not that difficult. So, but when you buy these and they haven't been well serviced or looked after, if they're at all rattly when they're idling, this is probably what you need to change. So after 8,000 Ks, that's looking pretty good to me. So I think regular oil changes at 1,000 Ks really looks after these motors. I don't know whether you can see where the cam chain was actually cutting into the case when I first got it, and had to change that cam chain. That was that loose that it was coming up and chewing out part of the case here. That's where all that swarf would have come from when I first took it apart. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of oil to the roller bearing. There we go. And slip that back on there. And put this flywheel back on. Just got to line up the keyway. That's it. The washer and nut back on. And use my special strap to hold the flywheel while I do up this nut to 40 Newton meters. So just a fair bit. So let's see how we go with this. Tighten that a bit more, but we'll see. I'll just nip it up first and then I'll use the torque wrench. Okay. Alright, so I've got that set to 40. I'll probably have to tighten this strap a bit more, I would think, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, yeah, it's starting to slip. I'll tighten that a bit more. More than that. Let's see how that goes. Oh yep, see, there you go. My special tool has worked. Beauty. Well, I've got a new gasket for here, so I've got to put the starter motor cog back in again, and we'll see how we go. So I've got a new gasket on there. You've got the little pins holding it there and down here. They're oil passages. Yeah, the flywheel which is a magnet, pulls the cover on pretty quick. Again, the manual doesn't specify a torque for these screws, just do them up in a crisscross sort of fashion. And so 700 mils of oil should get me pretty close to full on the dipstick. So before I put the foot pegs back on and the other bits and pieces, I'll just give it a start and see what it sounds like. There we go. No rattles, which is really nice. And I'll just make sure the gear shifter's working alright. Yep, it's engaging nicely. Beauty. So I just got to adjust the brakes. Yeah. Well, one thing you've got to say about these little cubs is they're easy to work on and a bit of fun too. So I'm quite happy to be doing a bit of maintenance on these. It's enjoyable. So now I've just got to put all the plastics back on again. I'm not going to worry about showing you that, it's pretty straightforward. So hope you got a bit of info out of that. So cheers.